right. Welcome to another episode of Tech Packs Are Due. Take two. I hit record and it didn't work out. So I am refilming this intro again. Welcome, everybody, back to the show. It has been a while. At least it feels like it's been a while to me. But welcome, sketch session. We're going to do it today. We got some stuff to draw, some stuff to talk about. Off the jump, just going to give a brief overview of the last little bit. I've kind of been all over the place. I took a trip out to the East Coast, see some family. Then when I was out there, I thought, why not double it up? And we shot the episode for Johnny Jensen. I was literally out there for the East Coast for about 48 hours. So, I mean, flying across country, and, hanging out, popping up, seeing a concert basically is what I did. And then went up to Boston, and I was in Boston for probably a total of 8 hours. Before I jumped back on a flight back to Portland because I have a job, I have a family, got work. But you know what? I've done it again. I have I believe in this content. I believe in what we got here. So we're just gonna keep doing it, trying it. Hopefully it sticks. Hopefully it means something to somebody out there. Excuse me, but yeah, so I made it happen. So welcome to Tech Packs Are Due, the only footwear podcast ever. Now there's been, we talk about it all the time. There's been complex and stuff, and we just messing around, but we do feel like we're the only footwear design one out there that's doing design the right way, talking about it in the right way, as if we were, trying to give the inside view of what footwear designers are thinking, how they work. It's what we're doing. There's no frill about it. We're just having some fun. And it is a good time to also mention, hey, these views are my own. They do not represent my employers, past, present, or future. Sorry if you keep coming on the podcast and we're saying that. I always tell Colin, hey, why do we keep saying that stuff? Because I feel like people get it by now, but it's like one of those things that we just try to cover ourselves because, I don't know, this stuff matters. Anyway, so, just to hit it a little bit of why we've kind of been absent. One, it's a lot of work, and it's hard for me to get motivated after a hard work day every day, coming home, dinner with the family, and it's hard to get it together to then come in here into the garage or, even make reels or clip stuff to even engage. So, I'm working on getting back into the swing. Sometimes I think that, you take a break and that kind of refreshes yourself and helps you kind of just think, oh yeah, I do care about this. Cause it's hard sometimes. It's it's a lot of work. I'm not getting anything really, pay out of it. I'm just trying to pay it forward. It's something I feel fortunate to be doing, is footwear design. And I just want to kind of pass on this knowledge, capture people in the industry that I think it just again, so interesting. I was actually this week going back to John, listening to John Gisbert's episode, because I just feel like it's just he just has such good insights, and listening to him talk about the team dynamics was so refreshing. Also something you hit on was when you first get into the industry, how euphoric it kind of is. Um, it's a good reminder of like how things were when I first got in versus how I am now, where it's like it's less of like a fantasy. It's more of a job now. It's like something that I'm actively trying to do, get better at, and like hone, get better communication, get better at seeing needs before they arise. It's all these things now that it's like when I first got in, it wasn't so much this, I don't know, dog and pony show kind of a thing. And so I'm trying to remember that. Anyway, sitting across the table from Jonny was, I mean, unreal. We covered everything from, how he got into design, his people who inspired him, design mentors, all these, kind of, backstory. We got into who he is now. We got into his time at the farm. Uh, Really interesting to get into why he started an Instagram and where that went. Because I think we were all digging it and it was just like up in smoke. And we're like, oh, um, which is fine. And then kind of what's happened since then and who he is today. And uh, yeah, it was a really good catch up. I have not, I mean, I've talked to Jonny on the phone a couple times here and there throughout the years, but it's just something else to be, you know, hanging out with a friend and talking life. There's so much that happened off camera that was like even more interesting to me, I think, than the footwear side of things. Was just like the life side of things. It was great, but it was all a bit of a whirlwind. Came back, got back into work. Work ramped up, and then just crazy. Life is just um, things happen, right? And I've said I haven't said this yet on the podcast, but I think I want to make it clear that like I'm never going to comment on the world or the political nature of things or how ingrained everybody is and all of this stuff right now. And I don't want that. That's not going to ever be a part of this show. um, I want this to be a place where people can break away from that, think about design, think about shoes, footwear, all the fun things that the again we've talked about before, the art, the physical art that we have that we're offering to people. Um, I want it to be a place where you can come and hone in your skills, and hear from designers in the industry, get that behind the scenes moment that I think a lot of people, including myself, when I was trying to get in, really wanted. So I'm trying to do that. But I think in terms of like all these things that are happening, the 24-hour news cycle or whatever, I think what it is for me, the stance on this podcast and the perspective that I'm going to take at all times. And again, I'm not going to comment on any of this stuff, but what I'm going to say is it's something that Jonny, that came back to front of mind when I was hanging out with Jonny. He used to always say that like the Walt Whitman um, poetry verse, basically like life is just moving on and you're lucky to contribute a verse. And so I think that's my stance here is like, really it's, when I was at this concert last weekend, one of the songs, it was the encore. Before they even came on, they put on Dead Poets Society, which is kind of a flash from the past, but basically it was Robin Williams giving that Carpe Diem speech. And the first words out of his mouth when he says, like, he reads, gather ye rosebuds while you may. He asks the guys, like, what does this mean? And they all, like, these, college age boys are looking at each other and they don't know, and they're all guessing. And his response is simply this: we are worm food, my friends. Um, and I remember just I've seen that movie 100 times before, and I just remember getting taken back and being like, man. And then he has them come up to a case full of past academics at their college. And he said, you can hear them saying something if you lean in really close. He's like, all of these people have come, lived a life like you have lived, and they are gone. And it seems like they're saying something. And that thing is Carpe Diem, seize the day. Nothing is guaranteed. There's not a guarantee for tomorrow. There's not a guarantee for the next hour. You'd like to hope so. And I think it's like a bit extreme, but um, what I'm trying to say is the stance of this podcast is always going to be like seizing the day, um, and taking advantage of the things and the hours that you have to get better at something, to share something with someone else, create something that someone is going to enjoy, create a legacy, whatever it is going to be. It is filling our days with things that are worthwhile. Um, and sometimes that's going to be silly. Like I have a couple, you know, uh, interesting things to draw today, but um, the main point of that is fill your day, like fill your time with stuff that's like meaningful and important. That is kind of the essence of what I'm trying to get at. Colin and I, like originally when we started this thing, kind of wrote like what we think the mission of this podcast is. And when I broke it down, I was like, well, I think first and foremost, it's going to be to entertain, um, and to bring light and inspire people to go and do. And so I'm thinking that like that to me is what this is about. And so while I'm never going to comment on any of those things, my stance for everybody, regardless of what's going to happen and what does happen or how crazy things get, if you need to break away and you want to fill your day with something that you want to do, that you want to sketch, you want to like render the best shoe, that's what we're going to be here to do. And that's what I would advise everybody to like kind of break away, turn things off, pick up your hobby, pick up your skills, um, call your friends, say a good word. That's what this is going to be. So that's that. And literally like that was something Jonny taught me, was like, we're lucky to contribute something. And I'm, I started this podcast because I felt like I had this knowledge I just wanted to offload. And so that's like, that's my monologue, I guess. The whole point of this is like, I'm trying to I want to lay this down so that someone who wants to get into footwear doesn't have to go in with a blank slate. And in that is my Carpe Diem moment. There was a moment where Jonny says something, and I hope hope everyone's excited to hear it. But he says, creatives don't need anything to get started. They don't need anyone's budget. They don't need a brief. They don't need anything at all. We can just build. And in that moment, I just looked around and I like pointed at the cameras. I pointed at the lights, and I just said, "You're in it. Like this is my, like this is my. I don't need anybody to tell me what to do moment." Um, so with that said, let's get into sketch session. Hope you guys are ready. Hope you guys are pumped. I am, for sure. Gonna make sure I'm centered, and then we're gonna talk today. Today we're gonna talk about silhouettes, which is not like the most amazing topic, and I understand. But when we were talking about portfolios, I was very interested to see, the first thing that jumped out to me was proportionality, and silhouette in footwear. By and large, if I am looking at a portfolio, I think this is the same for most footwear designers. When someone when a portfolio comes across my desk, whether it is asking for advice or whether it is getting a job, whatever the situation is going to be. When I go into the sketch pages, and if I see even for a second that the silhouettes are just kind of off, or that you don't, it's like one of those 101 things where proportionality of the shoe, location of like understanding, the stack or the proportionality of upper and tooling, certainly the silhouette, understanding like last and proportionality of collar, tongue, toe box, all of those things really matter. It's like the first thing any of us look at. And if it's wrong, we all know it. So I'm going to like hammer away at a couple silhouettes tonight and try to show you how I use those silhouettes and how we can like make things a little bit better. So without further ado, I will tackle a little bit of that. Let me get this rolling. All right. So here we are. We are sketching. We are going to start with a little bit of a little fundamental. As far as I know, we're going to start with the last. As far as I know, when it comes to the sketching lateral sides, and you know what? I'm kind of not into this being flipped this way because we're going to do all our sketches right shoes. As far as I know, when you sketch a lateral side, it's kind of assumed like this, this here and this here is kind of like the center of the heel. Like you're drawing all the way to the center. And then when it comes to the top part of the last, the shoe comes around like this. You're drawing, and I'll really erase some lines here so it'll make some sense. You're drawing to like the center line. So it's assumed that this, like you're drawing, and why that matters is like, as you're drawing a lateral side of a shoe, we throw this thing on here and we got the tongue and all that. It's assuming that you're drawing something that's breaking on a curve. And when you're getting around here, it's curving back around. So you're not drawing like a flat surface. You're drawing something that has three-dimensionality to it. If that is even a word, I do not know. But you're drawing something that's wrapping. And it's just like, that's just like a 101 kind of conscious thing. So if you see the shadowing, you also catch this like feather line where the last is like wrapping down. Traditionally you would see your shoe is going to sit in here a little bit. And so you'll, have area here where like the material will be wrapping, falling here and will catch a highlight. So, and then this will wrap under the shoe, which is why it catches a shadow. So these are all real things. And because this is also wrapping behind, you're getting some shadow. All this is like to help like you're seeing a shadow cast here. You're seeing a little bit of light wrap over here as well, just because that is where like light is hitting and gathering and pooling. So when you're sketching, I think that's just always good to have in mind. Like you're not sketching a complete lateral. Like it doesn't. it goes again all the way to the middle of the tongue. So the eye row is literally like wrapping around laces. Sometimes people draw laces like flat, but they are literally like you're imagining that this is going around. So all this matters. Like it's just kind of like theoretical of like your what you're presenting and what you're producing. So today I have like some silhouettes. I have 3 that I want to like kind of go through. And I think to start, I'll go with the bare bones. And I don't know how most people feel. I don't know how people feel about no bowl, but um, when it comes to drawing a silhouette, they are pretty handy because there's nothing to them, right? So what I like to do is I like to pull in like 100% white and then pull it back just to kind of overlay the silhouette that I'm trying to achieve. And then I like to come in here and very quickly capture capture what the silhouette is. And this one's so, I mean, again, it's no bowl. I mean, the ground plane is so easy to kind of locate. And then already that's already doing a lot of things for you. Capture the heel, capture the actual heel. Again, there's no heel bevel here, and there is like a small, tiny bit of toe spring, and you can quickly, really get a nice silhouette here for like a boot or a Chuck or something like a Chuck All-Star. You have what you need to kind of get the ball rolling, and without much effort, like I'm already ready. And let's just say we're not going to fuss a lot with laces again. Some people do, but at this stage, like when you're just creating silhouettes, I think you want to be pretty loose. And I think this one's pretty good. As we get into like more of the more complex silhouettes, I think it'll be important to elaborate or to move one forward. But even from here, right, you can get rid of this, duplicate, and already start to see like maybe how I would use this is just pull this up, duplicate, and then already you're like starting to see how you could build a way to kind of like what we've talked about in the past with Valerie on the show. It's like work smarter, not harder. And we want to do that, right? Like this job is hard enough as it is. And yes, it is a hard job. No matter how you look at it. So that's how I would like set up a page of silhouettes. And this one's already good. I mean, the proportionality is already nice. You can see where it's easy to see where a last would sit in there. Laces have a decent spread. And then you can go in and, mess with things. Lay a simple, concept down, little toe cap, little heel, maybe a little eye row, maybe some stitching. And before you know it, like you have something to work with. And this is like very quick, right? And that's how this should be in this situation. And so that's that one. Let's just, call that what it is. Simple silhouette, effective. Again, no bowl, really good. You don't need it because you're just trying to like You don't need any design elements. You just want to have something that you can work around really fast. Cool. And then I think from there, like we can graduate a little bit. I grabbed the Sabrina, which I think is pretty legit shoe. But when you get into basketball, you start to introduce something. This high top that we just did doesn't have a collar, doesn't have, some of the shaping and some of the things like heel that we just experienced. It didn't have like a compression midsole. It didn't have EVA and all that stuff. So it was like vulcanized or a cup sole or whatever that was. So it wasn't as complex. So as we graduate here, like I'm gonna do the same thing. And so first, I think it's just good. You just come in, you get the gesture again. And the reason I say start with like a real shoe, is because you want to capture proportion, and you don't want to be wrong. Like you want, you want to be like you want to do something. Oh shoot, that was rough. You want to do something where you're capturing something real, and then you can go back and then I'll show you some stuff here in a second, where you can tweak, but you really just want to like grab the gesture as quick and as good as you can. Keep it flowy, keep it loose, and then we can improve in a second. And that's pretty nice. Like when you look at that, you think, okay, got it. So there, like once you get a little loose and you get a little in, you can come in and you can draw over it. If you like that, you can come in and start making something a little bit more refined. Maybe something a little more true to the collar. Maybe add some refinement to the tongue. Start to build out a little bit more. There we go. Again, loose energy. And then I think we'll be good to go there. So this is something I would be doing for if I was given the call. Ooh, let's do it that way. Again, easy eyelets. Don't spend too much time on them. If I was called to be the next one on the Sabrina, I would be coming in here, seeing what existed in the past, trying to get a feel for it, and then I think you can move forward from there. So this is nice, and I think when you take off the background, then you start to see like you have a silhouette that you can work forward with. You can move on. You can start to block. You can start to see angles. You can start to see different things you can do. Maybe not that. Whatever. Let's do something simple. Break up that. Wow. I don't know. Don't want to like go too deep, but the point is now you have like a silhouette where you can use. And again, like if you're in there and you're like feeling that, you can drop that on, and then you can start saying, well, what else can this silhouette do? Do another layer where you really start to like kind of break into it. Um, add some stuff. Just like the use of layers and the use of what how thin you want this collar edge to be. Maybe you want this stitch and turn tight. Um, maybe you want to change the tongue. This is just like giving you some guidelines, something you can work from that is already in proportion. Maybe you want to pull things back, make things sharper. Um, anyway, you can work through things quickly as you build on layers. And that's probably sufficient. Or maybe you want to like, really get into something more geometric, which is something I'm always geometric. And then you can break IRO or whatever you're going to do. It just gives you a platform to start to ideate and have things in proportion so you can move forward. And then the same thing kind of goes with our next one. I grabbed the new Vimero Plus, which we talked about on the podcast. This thing is super cool. I dig it. I dig the language of it. It just kind of, in running, it's a little bit more involved. There's more, and maybe it's the same with basketball, but there is other factors. So if we drop a little screen on, and then I hit, then we start going in here and grabbing the gesture of this shoe. Top line again for running. It's smooth. For here, I mean, you don't have to make a smooth top line for running. And then you got a little slight bump. Ooh, not quite. And sometimes this doesn't always work. Like, and you have to take some. You have to take some liberties to, get a silhouette that's like dynamic. Again, because if you're sketching on a project, and I said it already in the last episode, like it should be dynamic, it should flow, it should breathe energy, it should breathe life into the project. Sketching is kind of that like lifeblood where people can see something and see what you're doing and dive in. So I'm pretty happy with that. So what's happening here though, and we can go ahead and start popping the laces in. Sure, let's say there's 6, maybe there isn't. Again, we can take this and we can drop it down, add another layer, and then start to think, what do we really want to do? Maybe I need to make it a little darker. And here, there's so much more in a running shoe to play with. And I'm telling you, running shoe designers notice all of this stuff. So, you've got so much stack. If you're applying or you're trying to get into a running situation in your career, we know what this is. Here's your toe spring. And we all know what this is. It's your heel bevel. And so if you're going to float like a portfolio out in this situation, know that we are checking all of this stuff. There's no wasted energy in a running shoe. We would expect on trend suggestions. We would expect someone with a little bit of interest in running to know, just what it is they're putting forward. And again, so here you have like top line, you have bevel, toe spring. And so you can take this again and you can say, okay, here's what I have and here's what I want to present forward. Maybe you want to do an increased, go real Hoka with it or something, or meta speed. And you can, go really into, that super marathoner world where they're really high bevel and stuff like that. And, and again, I'm always doing it, but go real geometric with the top line or something. Whatever the case may be. This is how I would like start to lay out. So then, as you know, you're creating in proportion to something. And if you find yourself, let me do this. In a situation, where you're trying to get these ideas across, you can block a little bit. You can take some risks. Now you got a boat shoe, which has been done a million times. Now you got a solid boat shoe. But again, if you're going to put something forward, you need to come in and get the silhouettes down first. Not saying Nike would ever do this, but I mean, I guess if you just saw that Adidas super marathon thing, their shoe was basically like this. Yeah, pretty okay. So that's just the starting point for everybody. I thought it would be nice to just come in, talk silhouette, heel rake. We know the rake of the heel. Hitting this. Every shoe has a bit of a toe. So coming in here, I used to draw, take it straight into the top line of the tooling. We all know that's not real. So unless you really are confident that people understand that that that's not real, there's a little bit of that. And if you're concerned about heel strikes, maybe you want some release back there, maybe you don't. Jonny was doing, and you'll see it, he was doing drop shadows or shadow wells. I don't remember what he called it. basically you take a shape and then you take this and you flood it and you dive down the opacity. I don't know if I get into it, but it's fun to watch. You want to get a shadow down here. You come in and you just boop. Oh, and then you go. You got a shadow. But again, this is basically what I've been trying to get at is getting that silhouette, get it tight, get it to a point where, if I take this shoe off now, very loose, but it's real, it's attached to reality. We can start to like have a conversation where I think if I took all this and just for the fun of it, I'm going to merge everything. Let's do it. And say, yeah, it's too squat, or, I got something that looked like that, or, just like all sorts of things. Like there's this, and, people can get bubbly, and you can pull up, it can get, I've seen sketches like this, or, if we liquefy and I, push some stuff like, and sometimes you want to push proportion to like be, interesting. But if I see something like that, or like the bevels down like this, I'm just not gonna like take it seriously. Or if I, bloat something too much, or something to the top line's really wobbly, it's just not going to come off the way you want it. So I think, unless you're like really trying to do something, you have to be pretty convincing to like present out something that's like truly like mischief type work. You'd have to have a really strong brief for that. But like really, if you're trying to get in, you really want to just like nail it, and have your silhouette dialed and what you're trying to present. Like look the part. Trying to think what I would do here. Whatever it is, maybe you have a cool like molded piece, or you're splitting something. Just have a good starting point. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe you're just trying to make the next Vomero premium. And the other thing I thought that was cool that Jonny said was your level of refinement should match like the level of thought that's gone into your project. And a lot of times, like we like to over render or over produce our sketches, our images. And I think sometimes it's like wise to kind of like, you see those tinker sketches that, are like napkin sketches. I think we would all do well to like back off some of our, this is just like if there was an overlay or something, a strip of color. I think we'd all do well to like take it down a notch until we get it progressed far enough where we want to render something out. All right. So I hope you got something from that. Really what I'm trying to say is we got to tighten up our silhouettes. If that's going to be, if you're going to show out a sketch page, you need to have it tight. I don't care if you're going to do a gray background, white background, black background. If you're trying to show volume, dimension, throw color on it, whatever you're going to do, make sure that whatever you're building off of is proportional and good. essentially, that is sketch session. This is Tech Packs Are Due. Thanks for being with us. Hopefully got something. Hopefully we can push ourselves to make some better sketches. Work smarter, not harder. Think about what things are going to look like in the round, and consider what we're producing and to what end or what brief we're trying to hit or what thing we're trying to produce, just ourselves. Hopefully I've shared something good, some nuggets of information. Come back, like and subscribe to the page. Check out all of our guest appearances as well. Be ready for Jonny. I'll have that episode ready soon, sometime. I don't know. I got a lot to do, a lot to edit. It's a 2-hour episode plus a sketch session. So a lot going on there. But keep coming back. Again, none of this is wasted on us. I cannot believe there's 220 people subscribed to this page at this point. We will see what happens and how it keeps going, but please keep coming back. We'll keep drawing shoes. All right. See you next time.